would like for everybody to meet Bobby. If you haven't met him before, this is the snoring sound you hear the whole time I'm cooking. He's very shy. He doesn't want to look at the camera. He's not a pig. He's a Yorkie. And he's my sweet boy. And he stays right in the kitchen while I cook. Bobby? Bobby, say hello to everybody. Okay, you can go back to sleep. Good morning. Welcome to Debbie's Back Porch. You're joining us today for breakfast. I'm going to make a frittata. And most people, I think, know what a frittata is, but just in case you don't, a frittata is like a cross between an omelet and a quiche. It doesn't have a crust, but it's eggs. And in Europe, I think particularly Italy, frittata is how they make an omelet. So we're going to make a frittata for breakfast this morning. Have a nice little treat. And I have some peppers, some nice little peppers, and onion and sausage and some good cheese and eggs from my girls. So we're going to do that. First thing I'm going to do is brown this sausage. And when this sausage is all nice and browned, I'll come back and show you the next step. And you smell that? I know you do. This is pretty lean sausage. We may have to actually add a tiny bit of oil to cook the vegetables in. And I do want to get pretty small pieces because I want the sausage to distribute through the whole frittata. And I don't want it to stick because when you watch a chef make a frittata, they will almost always, I think, use a chef's pan. And it's either a stainless steel pan or some Teflon thing. And we want to try to turn this out. And, you know, usually, I'll be honest with you, when Fred and I are just eating alone, I don't even bother to turn it out. I cut it right in the pan and serve it like pie. But just because you're here, I thought that I would try to turn it out. May not work. We may end up with scrambled eggs. But this sausage is sticking just a little, so I'm going to add a little bit of oil. You could add a little butter. I'm going to add a little sunflower oil. Because we've got some vegetables to saute. And we want our pan not to stick. And meat with no fat in it tends to leave a little sticky bits on the pan. I may pour a little bit more of it off, later, but for right now, let's put in, that's a half of a medium onion. And you can double this recipe. I'm making a small frittata. Let me line that up just a little. Because it's just Fred and me this morning, and this is not something that lends itself well to leftovers. Got a little nice chopped red pepper. I had sweet and sour chicken a few days ago. And I only used half of my peppers, and I want to use them up. So that's one reason we're having a frittata. That's so pretty. Red and green peppers and onions cooked together is so pretty. Now I'll go ahead and tell you all of the ingredients. That was about the equivalent of 2 slices of sausage, bulk sausage. And I have about a 1/4 cup of chopped peppers red and about a 1/4 cup of chopped peppers green. And that was a 1/2 of a medium onion. I'm going to add just a tiny little bit, 1/4 teaspoonful of red pepper flakes. And you can certainly use black pepper if you prefer. If you watch my videos, you know I seldom use black pepper. I usually use red pepper. Nothing wrong with black pepper. I just don't personally care for it. Fred does though, so sometimes I compromise. That was about a 1/2 teaspoonful of salt. We're going to put 4 or 5 eggs. I'll judge by the size and the pan. I'll put them in one at a time. So you want enough salt for that. Let this simmer for 2-3 minutes because I want it to be wilted pretty well, and then I'll come back. Okay, I have 4 eggs here that I broke in here individually, and I put about 2 tablespoons full of cream in with them, not a whole lot. And you know, you don't actually have to put the cream in, but I just do. Some people do, some don't. And you want to beat these, but you don't want to whip them. You want them mixed up good. But I'm not whipping them up and getting the air in them. I'm going to turn the heat down really low to start with. And I'm going to pour off just a touch of that oil that I added. I'm going to leave some of it. This is where I make the mess today, I know. Because we don't want it to stick. This is a good pan, but it is cast iron. It's not Teflon. And they're not totally non-stick. And I'm going to go to all this trouble now to be able to turn this out for you. But let me tell you, if you're eating at home and you don't want to bother to turn it out, you can slice it in the pan just like you would a quiche. But just for you, I'm going to give it a shot. Okay, the heat's down kind of low. I'm going to pour the eggs in. And I'm going to turn my oven on to broil. And I'm going to sprinkle in a little mild cheddar. I'm not giving you a proportion on that. It was a couple ounces. Your frittata may be bigger. Generally, if you use a 10-inch pan, you want to use about 7 eggs to fill it up. And so you would use more cheese. And let that melt. And I have some extra cheese here because I'm going to put cheese on top when I turn it out. Okay, with a frittata, you want to, when it gets almost, when the eggs start getting a little solid around the side, which they are not yet, and I'm going to turn it up. I had it on 2 out of 9. I'm turning it up to 4 out of 9 because we want these to cook slowly. Starting to bubble around the side. So take you a spatula and pull it away from the sides a little bit. Some of the uncooked egg is going to rush in to fill that spot. And it's beginning to get a little solid right in the middle. And you want this to be almost done before it goes in the oven, because all we're going to do in the oven is brown off the top. And now that it's almost solid, I'm going to sprinkle the rest of my cheese on, and this is going to make a cheese crust. I'm using 2 kinds of cheese, which I usually do. You could use Parmigiano Reggiano on this. You could use mozzarella. I have Vermont sharp white cheddar and then mild yellow cheddar. I still have a little bit of liquid on that one side, and I want that right there to get a little more solid before I pop this in the oven. And I have my oven on broil. Okay, we're going in the oven now on broil for about 5 minutes, but we'll watch it cook closely because it might not take quite that long. Well, here we have it out of the oven. I'm going to let it sit for about 5 minutes and cool, and then we'll try to turn it out. And if it doesn't turn out nicely, we're just going to eat it and enjoy it. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Let me get a pot holder. You want to pull this away from the sides. And I've let it cool about 5 minutes, enough to let the cheese crust okay. Now take a plate that's a little bit smaller than your pan. And turn it. And keep your fingers crossed. Bobby smells it. You hear him? No. Not perfect. Darn, still looks pretty good. And the final flip. And there you go. You can't even see my mistake on the bottom. So this is a frittata Italian omelet. And it's going to be so scrumptious. Let me cut us a slice. Well, there you go. That's so cheesy. That looks so good. I got the cheese spread out a little bit. Let's have a bite. If you like peppers, you like onions, you like sausage and eggs, and lots of good cheese, there's nothing here not to like. Thank you for joining us on Debbie's Back Porch. I hope you try this soon. It makes a lovely Sunday brunch. Be back tomorrow.